JBN, we keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, call center agent robs two of $1,400, arrested. 22-year-old call center agent Rajiv Smith has been arrested and charged with robbery with aggravation following an incident on Howard Cook Boulevard in Montego Bay, St. James, on Monday, December 28, 2020. It is reported that about 1:30 p.m., the accused and another man, both armed with handguns, robbed two men of $1,400. The accused was later apprehended by the police and is subsequently charged on Sunday, January 3. His court date is being finalized. Firearm handed over to police in St. Anne. The police are reporting that a Glock 22 pistol with a magazine containing one 9mm round was handed over by a resident to the Haute-Rice police in St. Anne. It is reported that the gun was found in a drawer in a room at a dwelling house occupied by another person. The weapon was handed over on Tuesday, January 5. Investigations are ongoing. Clarendon farmer murdered. The Clarendon police are trying to establish a motive for the murder of a farmer in Kempshill Racecourse on Monday. The police reported that about 2 p.m., 35-year-old Ron Kevin was sitting near his gate when he was shot by gunmen. He later died in hospital. Bloody start to here in St. Catherine North, following two murders in 2 days. Head of the St. Catherine North Police Division, Senior Superintendent of Police Bo Rigby, said that intensive investigations are underway to stem the bloodletting. We are investigating these matters as effectively as possible. We are aware that the probe is at an early stage, but we are here to reassure the citizens that we remain resolute, Rigby said. The Angels community remains on edge following the murder of a resident on Sunday night. Reports from the police are that about 8:30 p.m., the still unidentified man was shot and killed by a group of men who had invaded the community on foot. The men were fleeing when they were engaged by an off-duty policeman who was joined by colleagues, resulting in a gun battle between the two groups. One of the gunmen was shot and later succumbed to his injuries. His accomplices managed to elude the police. A Taurus submachine gun with a magazine containing 9 rounds of ammunition were seized. We need more constant police patrols out here, not only when things happen, but as a preventative measure, a resident said. In the second incident, residents of Kitson were alerted to the charred remains of a body yesterday. The deceased was later identified as Howard Hamilton, otherwise called Ninja, a laborer of Holt Road in the rural district. Police reports are that Hamilton was shot repeatedly and his dwelling razed. He was a very helpful young man. You could call on him to do anything. He was a man that worked hard. This is a very sad and cruel act, a resident said. The police have yet to establish motives for the murders. Clarendon man found with gun at illegal party. The police have arrested and charged the man following a raid in his Canaanites, Clarendon community on Saturday, January 2. The police said 24-year-old Sanjay Johnson has been charged with illegal possession of firearm and ammunition. It is reported that about 9 p.m. on the night in question, a police team was on operation in the area when they saw a group of people at an illegal party. They were accosted, searched, and one 9mm Ruger pistol with a magazine containing 6 9mm rounds of ammunition was found in Johnson's possession. He was arrested and subsequently charged after a question and answer segment. Holness urges churches to join crime fight. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is calling on churches across the island to help develop the hardware of Jamaicans as the next phase to tackle crime in Jamaica. In a passionate speech at the National Day of Prayer held at the Power of Faith Ministries in St. Catherine yesterday, Holness argued that the ending of the states of emergency has contributed to the crimes across the country, as he expressed concern about the savagery of some of the criminal acts that have been committed.
We have an epidemic of violence, and we cannot at the same time promote the ultimate tool of propagation of violence. In our intimate partner relations, man and woman business, the pandemic is revealing, because people have to stay at home, the frustrations between intimate partners and how that leads to abuse. And then domestic issues, simple domestic issues, fight over land. You go hire hitman. No amount of policing go and stop that. That's the hardware. So the government has to be instrumental, deliberate and proactive in its message against violence. No institution of the state should use or promote violence. And that is why I have given clear policy direction to our security forces that we must use force without violence. Force and violence is not the same. Force is the strategic mobilization and deployment of all resources, manpower and otherwise, to take full control of a domain. That is force. Violence is the last thing that you want to use. And even then, if the state uses it, it must be under control. And if violence is used, it must be investigated. Especially if it results in the loss of a life. The value of our security forces, you would see, is not just in fighting crime, but they have been very helpful, integral and essential in managing the pandemic. There is no action that we could have taken as a government to manage the pandemic without the security forces front and center. And they have had to do this while manning SOEs, manning zones of special operations, doing their public order operations, and increasing their investigative capacity. Never before in the history of Jamaica has the police force brought so many cases before the courts. Because that is what policing is supposed to do. Our strategy has never been to empower any special squad or any special unit to go and fight crime in the conventional and traditional understanding of crime fighting. We fight crime with intelligence and investigation, and then we bring them before the co-equal arm of the state that dispenses justice, the courts. And they are the ones that will give the sentences that will act as deterrents. Our job is to bring them before the courts. And as citizens, I think you will agree, given our resources, given our constraints, that our police and military, our security apparatus, has done a fairly good job.
38 new COVID-19 cases, no additional death. Jamaica on Wednesday recorded 38 more cases of COVID-19, with ages ranging from 3 to 85 years, pushing the tally to 13,368, with 1,649 being active. Of the new cases, 18 are males, 19 are females, and 1 case is under investigation. No additional fatality was recorded, keeping the tally at 306. However, 1 coincidental death is under investigation. In the meantime, there were 71 additional recoveries, moving the total to 11,253. Some 91 persons are in hospital, with 8 being moderately ill and 8 critically ill. 4 persons are in government quarantine, while 23,471 are at home. Murders, COVID, extortion, park taxes. More than 16,000 transport licenses not yet renewed. With at least 26 taxi operators killed last year, even as they battle extortion and the economic crunch caused by the pandemic. One leader in the transport sector is not surprised that roughly 9,000 licenses for public passenger vehicles PPVs have not been renewed since last March. Petrokeen Williams, Corporate Communications Manager for the Transport Authority, said that more than 75,700 road licenses were issued for the fiscal year ending March 31, 2020. However, since April 1, 2020, only 58,860 have been renewed. This means that there are currently more than 16,000 unrenewed licenses, of which 8,900 are PPVs. Although the new licensing period starts in mid-February, Williams said traditionally, fewer people renew their license in this last quarter. President of the Jamaica Association of Transport Owners and Operators, JATO, Louis Barton, acknowledged that a number of its members have stopped working, although he's not sure if this is permanent since they have until the end of March to renew their license. Generally, however, he finds that there are more non-renewals each year when compared to the year before. Operators, whether they are 1 year or 5 year, after a while they get fed up with the system. So it's not surprising, said Barton. He said the killing of taxi operators, as well as them being targeted by extortionists, have also caused some operators to park their vehicles. Added to that, Barton charged that the police and transport authority officials have not made things easy. I'm not saying that the operators are angels, but there's a pressure put on them by the regulators, he said. Barton said that there are daily complaints of violence against taxi operators, and even in rural Jamaica, he said extortion is rampant. The financial challenges caused by COVID-19 have worsened the state of affairs for taximen, but Barton is waiting until April to do a proper analysis. The transport boss said that although several persons leave each year, commuters are not affected as new operators join the sector. Alan Blair, president of the National Council of Taxi Associations, has also seen where several persons have surrendered their license. He believes COVID-19 has been a contributing factor, as some cabbies have been finding it difficult to finance their car loans as incomes fall with fewer persons using their services. Is it because persons have lost jobs, persons are working from home, and schools are closed? He said about the reduced passenger load. Although a fair increase would boost their income, Blair said they would not be pressing for that right now. Although we need it and we are due, we're not pressing the government for a fair increase because the population is already affected. A fair increase is going to put on further burden, he said. Barton said his association is exploring ways to improve security for taxi operators, with discussions underway with a company to introduce a cashless system. Taxi operators have also been lobbying for more designated parking spots, and they appreciate that the Transport Authority is seeking feedback on a proposal to route all PPVs that travel in and out of Halfway Tree to the transport center. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember, subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.